Welcome to NewWayStories. My name is Jesse. I am your host. This is a podcast that is about comedy, creativity, writing, I don't know, movies, whatever. We don't know what it is, but we love it, and we hope you love it as well. We're here to tell stories. Magic. Lights.
Ursula.
Camera. No, not that one.
Vibrations of the unicorn's horns.
That's it. That's
solar eclipses.
That is Darius, my co-host. I was thinking about taking the title "co" off, or I was thinking of taking the word "co" off of that title, but after that act, we're keeping it. Keeping co-host, sub-host.
South will rise again.
And Ben Salazar, our producer. Hey,
we're here.
Welcome back, guys. It's almost like I haven't seen you. For the fans at home, it feels like, boy, we haven't been here for a week.
Yeah.
For us, we recorded an episode, and then we stopped recording 30 seconds ago, and now we're recording another episode. I'm just
sick and tired of these people.
I'm gonna pull back the little bit of the mystery, and you go, how do these guys do it? That's because I'm gonna be in Chicago next week. So
the Wizard of Oz says, "Don't look at the man behind the curtain," and I'll tell you right now. Pull back that curtain.
Pull back that curtain.
Right in the eyes.
What's he got to hide?
Uninterrupted eye contact with this wizard.
Okay. We're going to start a new format. We did it last week.
Yep.
One random question.
Yep.
Then we're going to get into the pod. And this, a couple weeks ago, I did movie trivia. And my random question is actually going to be 5 random questions because a lot of people were like, Jesse, this is too hard. How dare you? And I keep feeling like I try to pull these movie questions back. I say, that's too hard. I'm going to move it back 7 paces. And then they're still like, it's too hard. So the theme was big time wrestlers in big time movies.
Okay.
And I want to see if you guys can get these questions.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
You ready for this?
I don't think I'm going to get this.
Okay.
No, I believe in you.
Thunderlips, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay.
First answer.
You got one. You nailed one. You honestly did. We'll get to that one, though. What larger-than-life wrestler stars in The Princess Bride?
Oh, Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant. Most people got that one.
Yep.
I believe the right answer is Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant. Okay.
Sorry, Ben.
Good try, though.
What?
Number 2.
Number 2.
I will say it is tough, but it's a fun question. What feature-length film did Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson make his first appearance, leading to a spin-off in his first lead role?
The Mummy 2, Return of the Scorpion King.
Whoa, The Mummy Returns is correct.
I was going to say The Mummy.
Oh, it's just The Mummy Returns. Sorry.
The Mummy, but it's The Mummy 2, you're right. The Mummy Returns, and it led to Scorpion King.
Scorpion King.
So 2 for 2 so far, you guys. Nicely
Scorpion
done.
King was my little league pitcher name.
And we already know that Darius knows number 3. What legendary wrestler plays Thunderlips? The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball in Rocky 3. Hulk Hogan. So many people got this wrong.
How?
So many people got that wrong. And I will say one person put Mr. T, and I go, well, at least you did a wrestler in Rocky 3.
Yep.
He clearly is not.
Was
Thunderlips.
Mr. T a wrestler?
Yeah.
I didn't know Mr. T was in the WWE.
Yeah, they were the WWF.
WWFU.
Number 4. In 2001 Spider-Man, what fictional wrestler
Macho Man Randy Savage.
What fictional wrestler did Randy Macho Man Savage play?
Bonesaw is ready.
Bonesaw is ready. Bonesaw is correct. Only like 1 or 2 teams got Bonesaw. I'm
the
like,
Flying Dutchman.
dude, that's a nice outfit. Did your boyfriend make it for you?
Husband give it to you?
Oh yeah, did your husband give it to you? Bonesaw, 2001 Spider-Man.
Yep.
Amazing. Ben, would you have gotten Bonesaw?
I would have to really
You would have had to have.
He's like,
gotten there.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
It is so good. Like, I want to watch Bonesaw wrestle. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily want to watch Macho Man wrestle, but anyway,
Did Macho Man Randy Savage die of a heart attack?
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
not trying to be insensitive.
No. I think he. In his.
He must have been
steroid
50 when that
cocktail.
movie came out, right?
Something
50
like that.
in his 50s.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone in a film ever that's so obviously pumped full of gallons of
Oh,
steroids.
dude, yeah. And when you're that old, your heart can't take it.
Yeah, as we learned from Randy the Ram.
Yeah, it was a heart attack.
Number 5. What big time wrestler? What big time wrestler starred alongside Arnold in 1987's Predator, cutting down trees with a giant machine gun, saying lines like "I ain't got time to bleed"? What an awesome one.
Answer would be California Governor Jesse Ventura.
Not California, Minnesota Governor Jesse
Oh,
Ventura.
sorry, my bad. My
Arnold
bad.
was California.
Jesse
My
Ventura
bad.
is correct. So
Battle
Ben,
of the
would you have
Governors.
gotten that one?
No.
Really?
Yeah. I know you've told me, and we've definitely talked
All
about
right.
it.
So if Darius was on the team, it would have gone 5 for 5. But Ben, how many would you have gotten out of that?
Like 3.
You would have gotten 3. I think
4.
15 is a respectable score. Like if they're each worth 5 points. Here's the thing.
Bonus question. What Adam Sandler comedy has a supporting role from Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Whoa. Adam Sandler.
Is it a newer one? He's not going to help.
I don't know why I'm so into wrestlers and movies.
not
I'm just
50.
learning.
Not 50
I'm going
First
to double
Dates,
check
right?
this to make sure I'm not wrong.
Anger management is my guess. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hell yeah, brother.
Ooh, no, I'm 100% right.
What is it?
Famous Adam Sandler remake of a Burt Reynolds comedy.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
The longest yard.
You got it.
Darn it. I should have known that one. I should have known.
That is my favorite thing about doing trivia with Jesse is every once in a while he does, because we grew up together and have watched so many of the same movies so many times together. Every once in a while he'll write a category like that one that is like it's a Slumdog Millionaire moment for me.
Yeah, right.
Where I just so happen to know all the answers.
My life experiences have led me to knowing each correct
That
answer.
literally is like, it's like it's one category of the night every time Jesse does trivia, I think.
I did try. I told them, I go, when I write a trivia category, I really try to like hit all of the like different interests. I want everybody to kind of be engaged. And then I was like, this one was for me. I had so much fun writing this category. Like, I don't know. So we've actually talked about wrestling. We should talk about.
We should wrestle?
We should wrestle. Next time you're in town, Darius, we're gonna wrestle.
Done.
We should talk about big time wrestling because it is actually a lot of fun.
Super cool.
I don't really watch it, but the lore behind it and what goes into it and everything, like it's a crazy fun entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk about it eventually. I was gonna say, last
I
thing,
want to do some
Predator.
research first.
When Predator came out in 1987, this is my favorite thing.
Okay.
How what are the odds that someone would have given you, like, or how many governors do you think would have been? You watch Predator and you go, boy, that is a movie, and then someone from the future says, do you know that there's 2 state governors starring in this film? Are you aware that America in their states voted for these 2 people to be in? Arnold is awesome.
All you have to do is really,
Arnold is actually great. You should watch the Arnold documentary.
for the campaign,
good
you just
governor.
play clips from that movie.
Jesse Ventura is a bit crazy. He's a bit crazy.
I wonder
great,
what his. Was he a Republican or a Democrat? What did he? I don't want to talk about this, but I need to research what were his platforms that he ran with. Like, what were the things he was promised?
I don't
just
think they
want
were
them to show-
platforms, but I think that they were all top ropes that he jumped from. Yes. He pile drived every one of his
I'm going to destroy
opponents.
the competition.
And when they did a debate, he like Tap the elbow. Just
You know what's
Owned 'em.
interesting to me is that Stone Cold Steve Austin, Goldberg, and Jesse Ventura all really look like the exact same person.
It's the same person. It's literally the same person, just reincarnated every single time.
Oh, dude, I think that I may have been wrong. And Stone Cold Steve Austin wasn't in The Longest Yard, but maybe it was Goldberg.
No, I think you're right. I think it is. You are correct. They all look so much alike.
They are literally all the same person.
Yeah.
What the heck?
The bald head and goatee. It's a strong wrestling look.
I literally can't tell which one of them it is in the movie. Anyway,
I do.
But yeah,
I think you're right. I think it is Stone
it's
Cold.
no, dude, it's Goldberg.
What?
I'm
Really?
looking at I'm looking at the cast.
Touché,
So
touché.
my
I actually
bad.
completely forgot about Goldberg.
And Nelly is also in The Longest Yard. I'm going.
I do
down
remember that.
really-
He's like the star running back.
Yeah.
Dude, that's my
Really
favorite. In
unfortunate.
Key and Peele, the original like funny names in football.
Oh,
When
so good.
he goes, LaShawn, whatever. Nevada State Penitentiary.
Penitentiary.
It's so good.
That is
Also-
the best.
Dude,
line.
this is random. I was watching a Weird Al thing, and Key and Peele are in White and Nerdy. Like
Yes.
the two guys
What?
driving up in like a lowrider is Key and Peele. I was like,
That's
oh,
so sick.
I haven't watched that music video in 15 years. That's
Also,
really funny.
Jesse Ventura was a part of the Green Party.
Oh, the Green Party.
What the heck?
Checks out.
Very interesting.
All right.
Trying to
So
legalize
that
that
was your
marijuana.
random question of the week. This one was random questions. I hope you had fun playing along at home.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I? What are we talking about today?
Destiny.
Oh! I was
This-
just gonna say, can we talk about Dune 2? Because I finally watched Dune 2,
Nice.
and I feel like that might be just a little bit of a decent enough sprinkle.
You want to fit it in?
Well,
You can
I
talk.
mostly,
Yeah.
I mostly just if we
are my
shouldn't, we
density.
shouldn't, because I know that I said that I have to leave.
I gotta
but
be quick. Let's talk Dune 2 next episode
Let's do it.
once it's completely
Overrated.
out of theaters.
Good but overrated.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay.
You guys suck. I hate you guys.
You suck. Listen.
That was the best comeback I've ever heard. Just so quickly and shortly. You suck.
I do.
So
I will
angry.
say that it's bringing me into the Timmy Chalamet game, and I like that. I like that. All right, here we go. You are my density. I just keep saying that for Darius. Back to the Future.
So great.
So okay, crazy things happening
What are they
recently
liking?
in the Roberts home. It's family, not just my home. So and it has kind of gotten me thinking about Destiny. So my childhood home back in March, now my sister's home, burned, and so that caught on fire, and it's
I wonder who
they're having
did
to, like,
that.
cut it out. Yeah,
Mr.
right.
Bitter.
Insurance payout, amazing. So that happened, and then my grandma Curtis looked like she was not gonna make it. She went to the hospital. She's made a full recovery.
She caught on fire. Oh,
She's
Hey,
amazing. She also caught on
praise
fire.
God.
It's wild.
Both of them
then-
were air fryer incidents.
So then my grandpa Roberts, Darius, I don't know if you know this, old Ronnie had a stroke on my birthday.
Oh, Jess, I'm
and
so sorry, dude.
He was in the hospital, and he's now in a like speech therapy like center in Pasco.
Man,
I know I said we usually do comedy on this podcast.
no, we can still
I can't
do
wait for the punchline.
Yeah.
Can we do
Oh,
it?
you wait. This is all set up.
It's gonna be a great impression of your grandpa post stroke.
Okay, so what it didn't affect, I mean, his eyes a little droopy, but like it didn't affect the part of the brain that like really enables or inhibits
Inhibitor chip.
the left side or whatever. Like
Okay.
it just is the speech. his
So
brain,
he's
knows
cognitively functional.
Yeah, so he knows what the words that he's looking for, and he knows, but it just like won't come
happen.
out of his mouth, right?
Right.
And so, and that has gotten better, and the recognition has gotten better, and
Jeez,
so
man.
like it was kind of scary at first because when I didn't know, like I'm just kind of hearing all this stuff, and so like they're like he knows what he's saying, but I didn't know if he like knew it was wrong what he was saying, or if because they asked him what his name was, and instead of saying Ron, he said Sandra. It's like obviously he was like in his mind, he's thinking like he's worried about his wife.
Yeah.
In this moment, but I didn't know if he was like when they were giving him that test, he thought he was crushing it, right? Where it's just like Ronnie.
That is
like,
really interesting, dude.
But I know now that I like visit him and stuff.
He can tell
hears the wrong word and he gets frustrated. So, but it was interesting because all of this is slowly getting better, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But when Russell and I first visited him, it was like 2 days after. He could say like yes and no pretty easily. Like we asked him a question, yes or no. And short sentences he could get. Sometimes he would have like a completely random word in there that doesn't make any sense, but it was close enough that we understood what he was talking about. And then when he tried to give a full like recount of what happened, it was like too much information to process and he couldn't do it. But we were laughing because Russell was trying to say when the inflammation goes down, maybe things will get better, right? And but what he said was, so when the inflation goes down, maybe stuff will get better. And I go, see, Grandpa, it's not that big of a deal because Russell can't say words either.
Russell, stop. He's not worried about the economy right now.
Dude, and it definitely, my wife and I visited, and my grandma was like, he was most worried that his humor was going to be gone, that like he couldn't tell jokes. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. This is a classic Grandpa Roberts joke. Mm-hmm. I'm talking as though he's dead, but he's not. He's making a recovery, which is great. So we're talking about destiny today. But it did make me think. So this is a Ronnie Roberts joke. Did you know in New Zealand there are more sheep than people?
Good.
Right? Like there are more sheep than people, which is kind of crazy. But they don't know how many sheep there really are. It's just an estimate. Because every time they try to count, they fall asleep. Boom. That's a Ronnie Roberts.
That's really funny.
So, but then with that, so that kind of got me thinking about stuff. And then my wife recently as well, this is like a happy thing. Hard shift, not a stroke for my wife. She passed her oral board. She passed her oral board exam. And so
that's amazing.
We've been married for coming up on 11 years. And the entire time we've been married, she has either been working towards a standardized test or doing some sort of training. Gosh. And always in the future, there is something that could potentially ruin the future, right? Like if this test doesn't go well, you don't get to be a doctor anymore.
Gosh,
that's like always looming. Now I'm like, she's really smart. I always had confidence that she would pass these tests.
That's a lot of pressure though.
But it's right. It's like you have to do this or you don't get to be a doctor.
And on your end, you've been like, babe, you need to pass this
because we have so much debt.
We can't stay married.
Like we have
I
so
need
much
someone
debt
to pay my bills.
We were like joking.
So much debt.
If we separated and I tried to claim alimony, like I would also take her debt. I go, all right. Cool. Well, why don't we just stay together?
We'll call it even.
I'm like, it was all in joking fun.
You got to hang in there for a few more years.
I was not considering that, but I didn't even think about the idea that I would take your $300,000 of debt.
I was telling a couple of Brittany's friends that I met this week, like through her work, that I was like, yeah, I think that I'm like a pretty good first husband. Like I think when Brittany's when Brittany's old and she's telling her grandkids about like our vacations, she'll be like, yeah, me and my first husband went on some pretty good vacations. Which I just think is the funniest joke.
It is really funny.
They didn't. No one reacted like that, and I was pretty annoyed.
Dude.
Because I think that's a really funny joke.
So, okay.
They giggled, but
so
no
all of that. Well, and then last week, Northtown caught on fire. So it's just been that's with the one bright spot of Kate passing her oral boards, which congratulations, Kate. It's incredible.
Way to go, Kate. You're a fucking animal.
It's been quite a stretch for the Roberts family.
I'm so sorry. That sounds intense.
But it started making me think about destiny and legacy. Really, is kind of more of what I want to talk about. Because
the destiny of your progeny.
I hear a lot of people kind of talk about legacy and they're like, what's your legacy gonna be?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think I came to the conclusion that that's the wrong way to think about it.
Okay.
Right? Like if you're like, I gotta build my legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the wrong thing. I think it's the same. It is similar to if you set out to write a book, make a song, make a movie so that you can be famous. You're starting from the wrong point.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But there's a tension in there because I was thinking there were a few days where I was like, I don't know if Grandpa Roberts is going to make it.
Yeah.
But he has this like CD that he made of just like gospel songs that it's like him and his 12-string guitar. And I'm like, that is like something that I obviously like cherish now, but I will definitely cherish. And it like he sings songs and he's like the reason that I like started playing guitar early. And he's probably the reason that I tell jokes now. Like,
right.
So, but I don't think he made that. So he was like, later, kids will have something.
Yeah.
Right. But it wasn't like, oh, I got to pass down my legacy.
Right.
And so,
CD.
But they're my legacy. It's Ronnie Roberts' legacy CD. Nicely done, Ben. But there's a tension in that
love
too.
That joke.
I was thinking, this podcast way down the line, at least, when I die or whatever, like it'll be kind of a cool thing that potentially my kids will like have a bunch of audio files that they like get to listen to, and then they get to say, they get to say, man, they never stayed on track. So yeah, I guess that's a big setup, but generalized question.
That's a fun prompt.
When you think of legacy, what is that? Like, do you think mostly material things, and that's why you're like, well, what does it matter, a legacy?
Well, so that's I get I think that I've been contemplating it because it has always been a bit of a tension point for me. I really like dislike when parents like name their kids after like one of their accomplishments. Right. So
I've never heard that before.
Well, Sergio Garcia, when he won the Masters, he named his daughter Azalea. One of the holes on the Masters is called Azalea.
Oh.
So, but it's like, okay, you want your daughter to like be named after your major golf tournament win. Cool. Yeah. Or like naming your kid like after you, right? So the seconds and thirds. I struggle with this. I'm not here to say that it's right or wrong. We were talking about this so I went to West Valley's graduation and a lot of the Hispanic kids had 4+ names. And I asked Ben if that was a normal thing. Obviously it's normal because the majority of them had 4+ names. But Darius, what were you saying about?
I was just saying that my friend Saul Martinez told me that the reason that, at least for his family, and he told me this is normal, I take it his word for it. He told me that for his family, like, and he said for a lot of Mexican families, according to him, they will count their paternal last name and then their maternal last name and then at least their maternal's grandmother's last name.
Yeah.
That way they have a way of tracing back their heritage through their last names.
That's beautiful.
And remembering all of the people that otherwise would easily get lost in like the family lineage that only you have the male names. And I know for a fact that's the way that Jewish people are supposed to be able to remember their heritage, is by knowing where their mom and their mom's mom and their mom's mom and their mom's mom is from. So they have their name, and that's obviously traceable back to like their male lineage. But then they also are supposed to be able to know all of their female lineage. And part of that is like really impressive, because as an oppressed culture, like Jews being probably the most long-term
I think that's a fact.
Oppressed culture historically, they have the longest history of written history of oppression of any culture on earth, that they are able to like trace back. Okay, well, if their mom married out of the tribes of Israel, then they can still trace all the way back to their original cultural heritage, which to me, cultural heritage doesn't really mean anything, because I'm a mutt and there's no strong cultural heritage in my family.
It's a unique thing from our perspective, right? Of like, they're like, what people ask me, you know, what are you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm white.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a lot of random white things in there with a little bit of Cherokee. A
little spice in there.
Just a little spice. A little spicy spice in Cherokee.
Well, I think there's like a sense in which like lower class people in the 1800s, early 1900s, when they moved farther west, they moved away from their families. So they're not like, it's not that big of a deal for people, I guess.
So I do think family legacy, I think it's important, like knowing where you came from. It is and it's not. I think that it can be super beneficial knowing where you came from, right? Because ultimately, whether it's good or bad, those are the stepping stones and blocks to like where you are today, right? So that is interesting, especially like you said, people who are like immigrants, where you're like, you can trace back 3 or 4 generations, and you can be like, these people started something, and now I'm here with like my benefits and the opportunities afforded to me because like 4 generations ago they started thinking about trying to set up a better life for a family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's legacy to me.
Yeah.
Those decisions that were made. Because even if you don't see the benefits of it now, you're like, I'm doing this for my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my legacy to me.
Definitely. So I think a real legacy, like a positive legacy, is, like you were saying, is one kind of driven out of selflessness, right? Like, if your legacy is that I set up my family to have a better opportunity than I had, then that's a pretty good legacy. I think when it is the Slytherin inside of me that's like, well, I want my name to be awesome, right? And what's the quote that you died 2 deaths? Your physical death, and then the last time someone says your name. That I think that's like a main theme in Coco.
Yeah.
Right, it's like a little bit. People who forget, which is a Mexican kind of themed, you know. So maybe, you know, family legacy and history is important, and that I think that also. Oh man, I wasn't planning on talking about Coco, but that's kind of the thing, is the tension of this like musician who is like loved by everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like he's got this long afterlife because everybody loves his music. But then you have this other guy who was just like a dad and was like, you know, in life, some mistakes happen, misunderstandings happen, but then it's this kid like finding out the truth about his father, and then also the truth about his hero, who is the musician, and like which legacy deserves to live on. Coco's a great movie. I'm just like, I'm remembering it. But yeah, I think if you start with, I'm going to build a legacy, right? Like no one's going to forget my name. Like, I think you're coming at it from the wrong position, right? And so like, yes, I want like a large memorial, not when I die, not to say like, oh, wasn't Jesse awesome? What a dude. But I hope that my life has impacted enough people's lives that they're like, we need to go and like honor this person. Not so that I can be honored, but because my actions like impacted their lives. Mm-hmm. And I think
in a positive way, hopefully.
I think I've been thinking about it because my grandpa, I think, is that. I think that old Ronnie has impacted a ton of lives and has never really thought, well, I need the name Ron Roberts to be remembered. Although he did name his son Ronnie Roberts. That's neither here nor there. Never mind.
Wow. Take it back.
I'll take it all back. But I think like seeing people broken up about my grandpa, and it's like, this is hard because he's been the rock. He has been the guy for 60 plus years in everybody's life that is steady Eddie, that people can rely on. And now you see him in a position where you can't rely on him. You have to take care of him. And it's really, really hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's surrounding part of everyone's life cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
I think
it just.
Oh, go ahead.
No, he's obviously lived a life that, and nothing has been extravagant or like over the top or whatever. Like you may zoom out and be like, oh yeah, he was a firefighter, and then he made fences for a little while, and he had kids and grandkids.
It is really funny. The things that are going to be meaningful at the end of your life are things that no one would put on your Wikipedia page.
Yeah, interesting.
Like, genuinely, like even people who have done great moral or great spiritual things, like if those things go on your bio page at the end of your life, the people that you actually impact are the people closest to you, and they're not going to care about those things.
Yeah.
Only if they have a really poor relationship with you. And you see that sometimes. You see people who like, they had a poor relationship with their father who was like an activist, and they're like, I have to continue this activist work to make my dad proud. I'm like, it sounds like you really weren't that close with your dad, because that's a very weird reaction.
Yeah.
People who are close to them and feel loved by them, they don't care about the accomplishments that they have. But I think that's a beautiful thing about Christianity, in my opinion, is that I also think that like family is super important and powerful, but also it can be an idol, and it's not ultimately fulfilling. And that's why Coco, honestly, as a movie, just didn't land with me, is because I love my grandmother and my grandfather on my mom's side. They're really great people. And my grandmother is probably one of the primary reasons that I love Jesus today, even though I wouldn't say like I gave my life to Jesus until I was a teenager. But so like in that sense, it's important. But I also think sometimes when we can't find our identity, we look to like, what's our legacy, or like, what's the legacy that came before us? And we're like, oh, well, we can find meaning from our past family members. And the reality about Jesus is your legacy with Jesus is that you walked with Jesus and loved people like Jesus. And so regardless of whether anyone remembers you, and regardless of whether you have a history of faith behind you, you actually like step into the legacy of Jesus. And from that moment on, your personal legacy is secured, because it's not about you, and it's not about who came before you or even who comes after you. It's about the work that God will continue. And you get to say, I walked in the will and the work, in the healing, in the hope and the truth of Jesus. And so that legacy for 2,000 years hasn't stopped. And I get to be like excited about, even if I can't have kids, after I'm gone, the work that the Spirit started in me, He will continue long after I'm gone. And that gives me a lot of peace about like my legacy.
Well, I think there's a lot in there. Like one, the danger of trying to find your identity in, I think learning about lineage and genealogy and all that can be
great.
Can be fun and but like you said, like trying to find your identity in it. I don't know if you remember the hit film Hitch when he takes her to Ellis Island. And it's like the butcher. He goes, I thought that it was like a title. Like he was like, like this. He's like a serial killer.
Oh,
and it's
gosh,
like
that's so
they've been trying to like scrub this guy out of their like lineage because it's like a terrible thing. You're like, well, that was like 3 generations ago. Like he doesn't define who you are, right? As a person.
That's crazy.
But that's definitely a thing. Like the shame and guilt of the previous generation when it doesn't go well, right? I think when we're saying, oh, look at the awesome things that grandma and grandpa or great grandma and grandpa did to set us up, it's amazing. But when it's on the other side, you have to be like, well, it doesn't really affect me, right? That's not so I think also what you were saying in that, and another thing, and I'm glad you brought it up because I was kind of forgetting about this a couple weeks ago. Pastor Jeff Dushman, he was talking about, I don't even remember, Nehemiah, and they're building the wall, and he said
Nehemiah's
something really profound, is that you're doing a lot of things that you do feel ordinary, but turn out to be profoundly spiritual.
Yeah.
And I thought, you're building this wall, right? You're building the temple, right? They're rebuilding this. They're
rebuilding the wall, I think.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've read the Bible, I promise.
No, I will.
They're rebuilding something.
I just was reading Nehemiah like 2 weeks ago.
It's some of these later prophets you skip over.
Dude.
It's the excitement of the Old Testament, the Torah, and Judges and Kings. You're like, this is awesome.
I lose steam
Psalms
after 1 Samuel. I have lost so much steam trying to read through the Bible in a year. I get done with 1 Samuel. I'm like,
let's just skip ahead to Matthew.
That's exactly what I start thinking. Yeah.
And then even at that, you're like, we'll just do John. It's all the same, right? Just kidding, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. So, but I thought about that, and it's hard to get inspired, right? So, sorry, they're building this like wall that has been torn down for a long time, and you're doing something that seems trivial. You're building a wall, and it sucks, and it's hot, and you're doing the things. It doesn't feel good in the moment, right? It doesn't feel like, look at the thing that we're doing, but it is profoundly spiritual. And I was like, man, being a good husband, being a good father, like I think the day-to-day things that you do, or even in creativity, right? Where you are like writing or whatever, drawing, it may not feel all that special, but there is something inside of it that is profoundly spiritual. And I think that if you extrapolate out, right, being a good father, if you are that day after day, even when your kids are like annoying and you're like, how is this? I don't have kids yet, but I definitely can see how a parent would get worn out because it's every day. Those kids are there every bleeping day. But at the end of it, how profoundly spiritual is it that you like are a good father, a good parent, and like train your kid up in the ways of the Lord, and like
I absolutely agree.
Put them pointed in the right direction.
Dude, it's a beautiful thing because if you don't have children, again, when you're a Christian and you don't have children, your legacy is the people that the young believers or the hurting people that you pour your life into, and you walk with them daily, and you check up on them weekly, and you pray with them when you have time to pray with them, and those people become a legacy. Because again, like we learn this, like just right, like me and you learn this in youth ministry, that you pour your freaking life out into like trying to help students discover a relationship with Jesus, and the fruit of that is never immediate. It never is. I would say 99% of the quote unquote like immediate fruitfulness that you see of that work is like not lasting fruit.
Yeah.
And the only thing really that good that comes out of like youth ministry is decades later when students start coming to you and be like, hey, like me and so are getting married. We put Jesus at the center of our relationship. Like we were punks when we were in youth ministry, but
yeah,
like,
you were. Great point.
Yeah, but like you made a big impact on us and you didn't even know it. And that's like, we don't get to see most of the work that God does as we pour our lives into people, but that becomes your legacy when you're a Christian. Even if you don't have kids, your legacy is the spiritual, quote unquote, children that you have. And whether you see it or not, God is so good that he continues the work. His spirit goes ahead and beyond us to keep like making his legacy of healing and hope and restoration and salvation continue.
And not to like over spiritualize everything, but I mean, this is kind of the heart of like this podcast, and like the thing that I'm trying to build is for me, creating community, empowering people, like bringing people together and empowering them.
Yeah.
Is like what I'm trying to do. Again, right? Coffee shop, podcast, books, like it all is like hopefully working together. But I want to encourage people that like creativity like is this like spiritual thing that, and it may not feel like it in the moment or whatever. Right. And like when you put together a podcast and you make poop jokes, like, or whatever, like maybe it doesn't feel spiritual, but like, or when I make a latte for somebody and I do latte art and I give it to them. Yeah. And it like, you can tell that I've just brightened up their day a little bit. Yep. Like that's, to me, that's profoundly spiritual. Yeah. And like, I don't need those people to remember me later and be like, thank you so much, Jesse. I think it's ultimately a byproduct that happens. Yeah. But it's not the thing that I'm like searching after. Like I want in 30 years, people to be like, man, Northtown was such a like safe space for my friends and I when we were in high school. Like, or like when I went there, the barista like knew my name. And as I went through my day, nobody called me by my first name. Nobody gave me like that, like that dignity, except when I went into my coffee shop. Like that sort of stuff
super good
is what I'm trying to put together. And I don't know what it looks like in your life. Obviously, you're passionate about things that are different than what the three of us are passionate about. But like, in thinking about legacy and creativity and everything, I like shift your mindset to selflessness. And, you know, I don't know. Ben?
Yep.
Good word. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope this one is definitely a little more serious. Mm-hmm. I hope you laughed a little bit at least. And I hope you learned and inspired, not learned. I'm not here to teach anybody, but I hope it was thought provoking, is what I'm trying to say. If you want, you can give us a 5-star review. You can follow us, you know, do all that stuff.
Be a part of the New Way legacy.
Be a part of the New Way legacy. Hey, speaking of New Way Stories, I didn't say this in the last pod, but you can write in NewWayStoriesPod at gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Any sort of questions, whatever you want to yell at us, that's cool. Do it in all caps through email.
Or send an audio file.
That's cool. That'd be awesome.
Or come to my house and put some gloves on. And you'll be seeing 5 stars by the time I'm done with you. All right, I'm out.
All right, man. We'll see you. All right, everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.